Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Sri Dakshinamurti Sudeshikendram Dvaipayanam Sutrakritam Munindram Sri Shankaram Bhashyakritam Yatindram Madheshikanchapi Namami Vidyai. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsarishibhyo Mahabhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvopaplavarahita Prajnana Ganaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Mritaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. So we are doing the second chapter, and in the second chapter we had done the 22nd sloka in the last class. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vasamsi Jirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Krishnati Naropanani Tata Sharirani Vihaya Jirnani Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi. So Bhagavan compared the physical body as a dress or a clothing that we have over our body, and the Atma is imperishable. Atma remains as it is, whereas the bodies change, just as we change our clothes. So this was the essence of that last sloka. Now Bhagavan is actually summarizing all these features of Atma. Now he is actually concluding this. In the next couple of slokas, he is concluding this topic of Atma. So we'll go to sloka number 23. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, nachainam kledayantapah, nashoshayati marutah. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, Nachainam kledayantyapah nashoshayati marutah. So Bhagavan is reiterating that the Atma does not get destroyed. Atma is avinashi, we saw. It has already been given. Now he is saying the same thing from a different angle. In this world, any object or objects can be destroyed through the four elements of the creation. There are Pancha Bhootas, out of which four elements have this destructive capability. The four Pancha Bhootas are capable of destroying objects. And here Bhagavan says, the body can be destroyed by any of the four elements, but not the Atma. So which are the four elements? Except Akasha, all the four elements can affect the body. And here he says, weapons like sword, knife, they can affect the body. The sword, knife is all made of, if we take the Pancha Bhootas, it comes out of earth, Prithvi or Bhumi. And he says, Bhumi, those can cut the body. The Prithvi can affect the body. Similarly, Jalam, water can drown the body to death. Agni, the fire can burn the body to death. And Vayu, the air, can dry the body to death, can dehydrate. And he says all the four elements can affect the body, but none of them can affect the Atma. And how do we go? We'll go into the sloka. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah. Shastrani, nainam can be split as yenam na yenam, nainam. Shastrani yenam na chindanti. Weapons do not cut the Atma. Shastrani yenam na chindanti. Weapons do not cut the Atma. And Shastrani here represents the weapons or the bhumi, Prithvi. Nainam dahati pavaka. Pavakaha na dahati yenam. The fire does not burn the Atma. Pavakaha means fire. Dahati means burn, does not burn. Na chainam kledayant yapaha. Na shoshayati marutaha. Apaha means water, jalam. Apaha yenam na kledayanti. Kledayanti means drown or wet. Water does not wet or drown the Atma. And finally, Maruti na shoshayati. Marutaha na shoshayati. The wind does not dry up, or the wind does not destroy the Atma. So when there is too much of wind, the skin can go dry and all those things. It can actually dehydrate if there is no humidity at all there. The wind is, or the wind is so powerful that it can take away the content, like a cyclone or something, or what do you call that, twister and so on and so forth. So it is capable of killing. So, but here Bhagavan says all the four elements, they cannot kill Atma. Atma is avinashi, and the Atma is unaffected by these four elements. Forget killing, they are not even affected. So basically these are all only the clarifications of the ideas that Bhagavan has already given. So he is actually reiterating the same points. Now we will go to Sloka number 24. Acchedyo yamada hyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagatastanuhu achaloyam sanatanah. Acchedyo yamada hyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagatastanuhu achaloyam sanatanah. So here, this sloka 24 and 25, we'll have to read it together. Basically, he is concluding this section. Which section? Atma section. Where did he start? He started it in sloka number 11, where he gave introduction to the session, and then this section, and then in sloka 12 he introduced Atma to be nityaha. From there onwards until this 25th sloka, Bhagavan has been talking about Atma, except for two slokas which were an exception. Now in this sloka 24, he is again listing all features of Atma, whatever we had already seen. He is packing as much information as possible within these two slokas to basically summarize. Again, essence of Atma only, no new features. And what he does is, he gives all these features, and then in the next sloka he will say, therefore do not feel sad that you are killing the Atma, or you are damaging the Atma. So it is basically telling Arjuna, do not feel sad. So we will not go much into the detail, nothing to do vichara, we will just see the meaning of the words of these slokas. Acchedyo yamadahyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha. If you see, the first line is basically the repetition of the previous sloka. In the previous sloka he said Atma does not get destroyed by the four elements. Here also he says the same, but in a passive voice. He says Acchedyo yamadahyoyam. Ayam means this Atma. Acchedyaḥ. This Atma, Acchedyaḥ, means cannot be cut. This Atma cannot be cut by weapons. Then, Ayam Adahyaya. Adahyaya means Dahyati. We saw Dahati, Dāhyaḥ, Adahyaya. Adahyaya means cannot be burnt. This Atma cannot be burnt. Dāhyaḥ means that which can be burnt. Adahyaya means that which cannot be burnt. That's why our body has got a name called dehaha. Dehaha means that which is capable of dahanam. This body is capable of dahanam. That's why once this body dies, nobody will keep the body at home. They will only keep it for some time, after which they will cremate the body. Because this body is for cremation. Dahanam, for dahanam. Dehaha. Then, so adāhyaḥ, this Atma cannot be burnt. Achedyo yamaha. Achedyo ayam adāhyoyam. Then akledyo. Akledyaḥ. Akledyaḥ means that Atma cannot be wet. We saw kledayanti. Naichainam kledayant apaha. We saw kledayanti. The same thing, akledyaḥ. Akledyaḥ, Atma cannot be wet or drowned by water. Then he says, Eva cha shoshya. Eva ashoshya. Cha eva ashoshya. And it is ashoshya. Ashoshya means it cannot be dried up. It cannot be dried. Atma cannot be dried. Eva is more for emphasis. Eva. So in the first line, achedyo ayam adāhyoyam akledyoyam ashoshya evacha. It means all the previous sloka. It's actually summary in one line now. Then next in the second line, nitya sarvagata sthanuhu achaloyam sanatanaha. Nityaha. We saw this. Nityaha means immortal, ever present. Nityaha. So Atma is immortal. In other words, we are immortal. Nityaha means that which is not bound by time. Nityaha. So the important thing that we have to understand is that we need not get immortality. We need not pray or we need not do any tapas to become immortal. Immortality is our very nature. And this is our biggest human being, or for that matter any jiva, especially human being, the biggest urge for us is to remain immortal. We want to somehow be immortal. We do, although we will disappear from the earth, one thing we cannot stand is to leave this earth without letting our mark be present somewhere, somehow. That's why, people name their grandchildren with their same names, because they want to ensure that their name survives even after their body's death. Or they take photograph and keep they make sure that they hang in their living rooms and other rooms, because even after their passing away, they want their photos to remain there. We want something of ours to leave something, and so that it lives on. This is the innermost urge of human beings. We are ready to accept the mortality of other things, but not ready to accept that I am mortal. And there is nothing wrong, because why we are not able to accept it is because by nature we are immortal. And therefore it is unnatural for us to accept mortality. If mortality is natural to us, then we would have been comfortable with that. But our very nature is immortal. So we do not have the ability to accept it. That's why even if you look at unhappiness, our very nature is happiness, and that's why we are not able to accept unhappiness. Whenever we are happy, we do not have any complaints. We do not say, oh, I'm too happy today, I don't feel good, I am too unhappy today. We will never say that. We will never complain. But the moment we become sorrowful or unhappy, we will say, oh, it's too sorrowful, I cannot take it. Why? Because our natural tendency is happiness. And therefore, when unhappiness comes to us, we are not able to stand. What is unnatural, we reject it. And that's why even in our system, if something enters our eye, if it enters our eye as something unnatural, tear drops. So it takes away. If it goes into the nose, we sneeze it away. If it comes into through the skin, we are able to purge it by. If it comes into the body, we are able to purge it through stomach, through either vomit or dysentery or through sweat. Somehow we purge it, we take it out. Anything that is unnatural, we will not accept it. That's why but on the other hand, if something is natural, it will be accepted. That's why if you see, if a lady becomes pregnant, there is another body within the body. But the body does not reject it. The lady's body do not reject it. The system will not do anything. It will in fact cooperate. It will make sure that the lady also gets the nutrition, the body, the child inside her also gets the nutrition. Because it is natural. What is natural, we will accept. What is unnatural, we will reject. And therefore, every one of us rejects mortality. Nobody accepts mortality. Everybody wants to live a day more. From that, it is very clear that mortality is unnatural. And what is natural to us? Nityaha. I am ever there. I am not bound by time. I am ever present. Nityaha. Then, Sarvagataha. Sarvagataha, we saw, all pervading. I am eternal, I am also all pervading. I am not bound by time, I am also not bound by space. So I am timeless, spaceless. I am beyond time, I am beyond space. I cannot be contained by time, I cannot be contained by space. And this particular thing will answer another question, Some people ask this question. We keep this Naivedya for Bhagavan. We do cook something and we give Naivedya to Bhagavan. But we are offering to him. But he does not seem to take it. Actually, no. He has already taken it. Because remember, Atma is Bhagavan, we are Bhagavan, that's the ultimate reality. So with that in mind, you understand this. If I place the Naivedya in any place, where is the place where there isn't Atma? Atma is everywhere. So if I have already placed the Naivedya within the Atma, he has already taken it. Where it is not outside of him at all. Only if it has to be outside of him, he has to take it into his inside. It's already within the Atma. So where is he not? For him to have it, it has to be in a place that is outside of him. But my Naivedya is already inside of him. So where is he not? So there is no question of he not accepting Naivedya. So this is one answer for our Naivedya, what we offer to Bhagavan. There is another one. When we get to the context, we will discuss the other one. So anyway, the Tatparya here is Atma Sarvagataha. Atma is all pervading. Nityaha Sarvagataha Sthanuhu. Sthanuhu means changeless. Since I am not bound by time, which means time cannot cause any change in me. If I am not bound by time, time will not have any effect on me. Time cannot cause any change in me. In fact, what happens in everything in the creation, it is all tortured by time. time makes it out of shape or changes its shape. Everything is affected by time, but not the Atma. Even this physical body, as a baby, we were all chubby, nice. Everybody loved to have us in their arms and others. Now we are out of shape. Wherever we should have been broad, we are long. Wherever we are supposed to be long, we are broad. Everything has gone. We are trying our best to bring back to shape. Skin color changes. Hair color changes. Hair disappears. All caused by what? Time. If I am Nityaha, time cannot bring any change. Time cannot change me, and therefore I am Sthanuhu. Sthanuhu means ever the same. Sarvataha tishtati iti Sthanuhu. So Sthanu means does not change. That's why one of the names of Bhagavan Shiva is Sthanuhu. Sthanunataha. Sthanunataha is another name for Bhagavan Shiva. Sthanunataha. Some persons have this name, Sthanunataha, but later on what happens is the Stakara would have gone away, and therefore they have Tanu. Tanu is a name. There is a person by name Kalaipuli S. Tanu. Tanu means, it has come from the word Sthanu. Sthanu is name of Bhagavan Shiva. Sthanu means ever the same, that which does not change. Tanuhu. So since I am not bound by time, I am changeless, I am Sthanuhu. Then Achalaha. Achalayam Sanatana. Achalaha means I am motionless. Why I am motionless? Because I am all pervading. I am all pervading. I am not bound by space. And if I am all pervading, I cannot move anywhere, because I am only one which is all pervading. So Achalaha, I am motionless. In fact, because I am Achalaha, I cannot move, I cannot do anything. I am also Akarta. I cannot do any action. And because I don't do any action, I am also a Bhokta. That also we can derive from there. Sthanuhu, Achalaha. Then Sanatana. Sanatana means ever fresh. In other words, it is called as Anadi. Sanatana also means Anadi. Anadi means that which does not have a beginning. Adi illadadu, one that does not have a beginning. Anadi. Sanatana. That's why our religion, Sanatana, is called, Hinduism is called as Sanatana Dharma. In fact, the entire religion, our religion talks about only two main topics. Hinduism talks about only two main topics. One is Dharma, the other one is Brahma. Dharma, the Purva portion of all the Vedas, talks about Dharma. The Uttara Bhaga of the Vedas talks about Brahma. So, Veda Purva talks about all the Karma Kanda or the Dharma. The Veda Anta talks about Brahma, Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana. So Dharma and Brahman. And therefore the Veda Purva Bhaga, the portion that deals with Dharma is called as religion. The portion that talks about Brahman is called as philosophy. Religion deals with Dharma, philosophy deals with Brahman. And both do not change at all. Dharma values are ever the same. Ahimsa as a value, is it only relevant for 10,000 years ago? No, it's relevant even today. It will be relevant always. Not hurting others is a value during Shankaracharya's time only? No. It is valid for 10th century BC, and I do not, 10th century BC also, that person do not want to get hurt at all. Even now, the person do not want to, the persons living here do not want to get hurt. Even later, the persons will not want to get hurt. That same thing, ahimsa, satyam. Satyam, I should tell the truth. That is also a value which is timeless. So all this dharma is also sanatana, which is doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. What about Brahman? Brahman also during Shankaracharya's time, Brahman was there, topic of Brahman was there. Not that at that point of time Brahman was a small object, now it has grown, achalaha, nityaha, sarvagataha. No, it has always remained the same. Brahman has not changed. Dharma does not change, Brahman does not change. And therefore, Hinduism is called as Sanatana Dharma. That which teaches the changeless value of life. That which teaches the changeless truth of creation. The truth of creation is changeless. The truth of life or the values of life is changeless. Sanatana. Even take this Bhagavad Gita for example. Bhagavad Gita has been relevant. It has been relevant for so many years. Thousands of years and it's still relevant. Whereas you talk about any other, say any physics or chemistry, the physics, chemistry that was taught 300 years ago is not relevant now. And I'm sure what is being taught today in 300, 400 years may not be relevant afterwards. It's all changing there. Other sciences all seem to change. Theories are revised, theories are discarded. Many medicines have come and many medicines have been in practice for some years and then they have been discarded. The medicines, they found something to be wrong or having side effects and then they are actually discarded. Medicine changes, physics changes, chemistry changes. What does not change? Dharma does not change. And that's why Vedas, our Veda does not become obsolete. It will never become obsolete. Even after 20 centuries, Veda will be still valid. That's why our Veda history, Veda is called as Sanatana. Atma is also called as Sanatana. Atma is ever fresh, ever valid. So Bhagavan is basically concluding this section by summarizing all the concepts of Atma. And this is the practice in any Upadesha. Even today in corporate world, when you actually start, you will first give an agenda. You will say, these are the points that I want to cover. And then you will start explaining it. And then you will have a summary slide. In the same way, this is not something that is only given by Westerners to us. It's been always in practice in our culture. In any Upadesha, in any text from our religion, if you take, there will be a Upakrama and a Upasamhara. Upakrama meaning the initial thing, and then there will be an explanation, and then Upasamhara where it will be a concluding section. And the starting section and the ending section will have to have the same ideas. And that is what Bhagavan is doing here. From 11, 12 onwards, now until 24, 25, he is summarizing. Now in the last sloka 25, he is basically concluding this section on Atma Vichara. Sloka number 25. Avyaktoyamachintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad devam viditvainam nanushochitum arhasi. Avyaktoyamachintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad devam viditvainam nanushochitum arhasi. So Bhagavan here basically concludes the Atma Swarupa. This is the final conclusion sloka, winding up sloka. 24, 25, as I said, has to be studied together. And here 24 and 25, it's a repetition of all we have discussed in the previous slokas. Avyakyoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate. Avyaktoyam. Avyaktaha ayam. Avyaktaha means imperceptible. Imperceptible means not available for the organs of perception, which means it cannot be understood or it cannot be grasped by the five senses. Indriya agocharaha. The five sensory organs will not be able to perceive Atma, which means Atma is not a sound that I can hear. Atma is not a form that I can see. Atma is not something that I can touch and feel. Atma is not something that I can smell. Atma is not that something I can taste. So what about Atma? Atma is free from all these things. Atma is free from Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha belong to the matter. If I take anything, it has got either a Sabda or Sparsha or Rupa, Rasa or Gandha. There is a form, or there is something that I can taste, there is something that I can feel, or there is something that I can smell. Anything that is any matter will have one or many of these five properties. And these five properties belong to the Pancha Bhootas, five elements. If you remember the introduction to Vedanta classes that we had taken, we talked about Akasha has got Sabda. Akasha, the space, has got Shabdam in it. The Vayu, the wind, the next element, has got both Shabda as well as Sparsha, which means I can feel Vayu, I can hear Vayu, I can also feel Vayu on my skin. And then if I take the next element, which is Agni, fire. Fire has got Shabda, Sparsha as well as Rupa. I can hear the fire, I can feel the heat of fire, and I can also see the flame. I can also see it through my eyes. So Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Agni. The next tattva is Jalam, Apaha. Apaha, Jalam has got all the four. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa. Which means I can hear water, I can touch water, I can see water, and I can also taste water. Rasa, I can taste water. Then the fifth element is Prithvi. Prithvi is all the five elements. I can Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The Prithvi has got, I can hear it, I can touch it, I can see it, I can taste it, I can also smell it. In Taittiriya Upanishad it will come Akashat Vayuhu, Vayoragnihi, Agneyapaha, Apa Prithvi, Prithvi Oshadayaha. It will come. How the elements have gone from one to one. So these five elements have got these five properties. Matter alone has these properties. Atma is not material, and therefore it cannot be perceived. And therefore Atma is avyaktaha, imperceptible. Imperceptible. Okay, which means imperceptible through my sense organs. I cannot sense Atma, but can I actually sense through mind? How about my mind? Bhagavan says, achintyaha. Atma is inconceivable. There are certain things that my mind can conceive. I cannot have this Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha for them, but there are certain things, for example, love, anger, jealousy. These are all emotions that I can feel it. I cannot touch it, I cannot taste it, I cannot do that. But these are emotions that I can feel it. Is Atma similar to that? Is Atma kind of like an emotion? No. Achintyaha. Atma is not perceptible through mind also. Atma, Avyaktaha, Achintya. Again, I'll ask, this question will keep coming to our mind. If Atma cannot be perceived by through the sense organs, or if the Atma cannot be understood through the mind, then why are we attending this class? See, the Shastras will never be able to, or will never promise you the experience of Atma. It will say, I will give you the knowledge about Atma. I'm not promising you the experience of Atma. But what it says is, you have the experience of Atma at all times. In the sense, when I say I has got Atma mixed with my body. And therefore, I am always, the fact that I exist, Atma exists. Now, I am not promising you any experience, but I am only going to give you the knowledge. Because the thinker, the conceiver is the Atma. It is never a thought, it is the thinker. It is never the object, it is the subject. Therefore, Atma is Avyaktaha, Achintyaha. Okay. You remember in the previous Sloka we didn't split it as Avyaktaha, Achintyaha. In the previous Slokas we saw Atma to be Aprameyaha. Aprameyaha means that which does not have any pramanam, which cannot be understood by any pramanam. Pramanam means instrument of knowledge. Aprameyaha means it is not an object of knowledge. It is not an object. Aprameyaha. Aprameyaha is equal to Avyaktaha and Achintyaha, basically. Then in this shloka, Bhagavan says, Avyakyoyam, Avyakto ayam, Achintyo ayam, Avikaryo ayam, Avikaryaha. Avikaryaha means it is free from the Shadvikaras, it is free from the modifications. It is Parinama Rahitaha. Parinama means change. It is free from any change. It is unchangeable. Again, we have seen this all. We have seen all these ideas before. Avikaryaha. There can be another meaning for this avikaryaha. You heard the term called karyaha. Karyaha means what? Product. Karyaha means a product. Karyam in Tamil we say and the karyam panniyacha, that means an action. Action comes to a product. Karyaha means product. It says avikaryaha, Atma is not a product. When we say Atma is not a product, which means there is no cause to it. Unless there is a cause, there is no effect. Unless there is a karanam, cannot be a karya. So, if Atma is avikaryaha, Atma does not have a cause also. So, Atma is not a product, it does not have a cause. So, avikaryoyam uchyate. It is said. It is said. Where it is said? Bhagavan says, Bhagavan does not say, I say these things. He does not say, I am saying Atma is Avyaktaha. I am telling you, Arjuna, that Atma is Achintyaha, Avikaryaha. Bhagavan says, it is said. It is said where? Bhagavan says, it is said in the Upanishads. It is said in the Shastras. It is said in the Shastras, Arjuna, that the Atma is Avyaktaha, Achintyaha, Avikaryaha. It also tells even Bhagavan. It is one way for us to understand that the Shraddha that we should have on the Shastras. If Bhagavan does not say, Bhagavan says, it is said in the Shastras, Arjuna, so please understand that. So if Bhagavan himself has got so much of respect for Shastras, then what should be ours? Uchyate. And then in the next line, Bhagavan says, Tasmad evam viditvainam nanu shochatyam arhasi. Tasmat. Therefore, evam viditva yenam. Tasmad evam viditva yenam. Tasmad evam viditva enam. Viditva means having known. Therefore, Arjuna, having known, enam evam. Enam means this. Evam means Atma. This Atma, in this manner, enam evam. Therefore, having known this Atma Swarupa, so thus, he says, Bhagavan says, Na anushochitum arhasi. Na harhasi. You should not. You should not what? Or arhasi means, arhada illa. In Tamil we say, arhasi means, you don't have any right. Avanikku arhadaye illa. He does not have any right. So, na harhasi. You do not have any right. For what? You do not have any right to anushochitam. Anushochitam means to grieve. You don't have any right to grieve. This is a big statement. He says, Bhagavan says, you don't have the right to grieve. You should not grieve. Grief is something you should never do. That's what he is saying. Bhagavan says, we do not have the right to grieve over Atma. If somebody passes away, you don't have the right to grieve, so to speak. Because Atma is always there. Therefore, Tasmad, we have to see, link the teachings of the end. When he says Tasmad here, it is not only this paragraph, this Sloka. He talks about from Sloka number 12 to 25 now. Tasmad, therefore, Arjuna, having known Atma to be this, you don't have the right to grieve. So, Bhagavan basically, he wanted to remove the grief of Arjuna. Remember, Arjuna was sorrowful and he immediately wanted to remove the grief of Arjuna. So, he says, you don't have the right to grieve because Atma is Nityam, Sashvatam, Sarvagataha, Avikaraha, Avyuktaha, Achintyaha. So, don't. See, remember, even for Vedanta to go in, the mind has to be a little bit calm. Vedanta is for removing sorrow, no doubt about it. But even for that Vedanta to enter the mind has to be a little bit calm. Only then more calm will come. As they say, if you want to make money, you will have to put money. To make more money, you will have to put some money. In the same way, if you want to get calmness in your mind, you will have to have a little bit of calmness to start with. In the same way, just as even to do punyam, if somebody wants to do punyam, they will have to have some bit of punyam to start with to be able to do more punyam. So this is how things work. So to have some bit of calmness, only then the Vedanta will go in. And Bhagavan is basically concluding this section. But in this section, what he is concluding is basically, Bhagavan is trying to look at Arjuna's mind. And he says, okay, Arjuna is sorrowful. Now, how can I actually remove the grief? And he takes a three-pronged approach. Basically, he is very rational. So he takes the first approach. First, 1, you should not feel grief about this. 2, you should not feel grief about this. 3, you should not have any sorrow because of this. So that's how he is going to approach. So the first approach is, Arjuna, are you afraid, are you sad that Bhishma and Drona are going to die? Okay, now, first, are you sad about Bhishma and Drona's Atma? That is the first approach that he is going to take. Then he is going to take the second approach. Are you sad because their Anatma is going to die? Are you sad about their Atma? Are you sad about their Anatma? Or are you sad that you are doing adharma by killing your own guru and grandfather? So these are the 3 questions that could be in Arjuna's mind, right? And Bhagavan is going to take one by one. And Bhagavan takes the first case here. He says, on the basis of Atma, you don't need to grieve. There is no need to cry because you cannot kill their Atma. Tasmad evam viditvainam. Tasmat enam viditva enam na anuchochati arhasi. From the standpoint of Bhishma and Drona's Atma, there is no need for you to feel sad. And that's how he is concluding this section. But in this section, Bhagavan has given the features of Atma for us. And the features of Atma, if it is too difficult for us to understand, doesn't matter. We can come back and re-look at it after we have finished a few chapters, and then you can come back and revisit the slokas and the meanings and the recordings. But right now, it's fine. Whatever has gone in, it's fine. So what are the features that we have to remember? Atma Nityaha. In Sloka 12, Bhagavan gave Atma Nityaha. Then in Sloka 13, Bhagavan gave Atma Avikara, Nirvikara. Nirvikara means changeless. Then in Sloka 16, Nasato Vidyate Bhavaha, he said Atma Satyaha. Atma is real. Then in 17, Bhagavan gave Atma to be Sarvagataha. Idam Tatam. Sarvagata, all pervading. Then in Sloka 18, Antavanta ime dehaha, Bhagavan said Atma is Kutastha Nityam and also Aprameyaha. Aprameyam Anashi. Anashino Aprameyasya. It is changeless, eternal, and it is also imperceptible. Then in Sloka 19, Bhagavan says, Yenam Vyatyahantaram Yaschainam Manyate Hatam. He said, Atma is neither a karta nor a bhokta. It is akarta and abhokta. It is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. Then in Sloka 20, Najayate Mriyate Va Kadachit. Bhagavan said Atma is free from the 6 modifications. Shad Vikara Rahitaha. Asti Jayate Vardate Viparinamate. Then finally Maranam, basically. Those 6 modifications. Then he said Veda Vinashanam Nityam. 21 he said Nay, it is also not Hetukarta. It is not Hetukarta also, it does not instigate also. Up to 21. Then 22, 23, 24, 22 he basically said, again it's all, 22, 25 is only a repetition, but 22 he talked about Atma changes bodies. And then 23, 24, 23 he said Atma is not affected by the Pancha Bhootas. And 24, 25 he basically concluded Atma's the features. See, remember in this Bhagavad Gita, the Atma Tattva comes very early in chapter 2 itself. So Bhagavan has given the highest knowledge now. This is the highest knowledge. This is the last step for us to get moksha. Now he has given the final step first. Now Bhagavan will start going one by one level down. After this, Bhagavan will talk about Atma Tattva and Vichara much later only. Between that, he will talk about in between all the sadhanas, whatever we need to do. Because he wants to tell you what is the final goal, what is the final destination. And then he will give us the roadmap. So the concepts so far, whatever we had seen, it could be a little difficult to understand, does not matter. Over a period of time, we will understand it. Now we will see how Bhagavan goes step by step into other things. These steps are more important, if you ask me. From now on, especially the 2nd chapter afterwards, now and the 3rd chapter are very important, because those will give us, the tips for daily living. Things that we can implement immediately in our life that can help us to have a higher quality of life, better quality of life. Okay?
That is in chapter 6, is it? 3.
2 and 3. Little bit of 2 in the 2, and then later on the entire chapter 3.
So Guruji, you talked about this philosophical side and the dharma side, right?
Yeah.
So So, so we are moving away from philosophy to the more with the dharmic
You can say so.
concepts going on.
You can say so. The philosophy will come back once in a while, but the chapter 3 especially will talk about things that have to do from a dharma standpoint.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now we will go to sloka number 26. So now Bhagavan is not going into dharma yet. Bhagavan is still answering Arjuna's problem of grief. And as I said, he's got a three-pronged approach. What if Arjuna, if he feels sad about Atma? What if Arjuna feels sad about Anatma? Or what if Arjuna feels sad that he is not following dharma or he is doing adharma? So Bhagavan is still in that place. He has not come to dharma yet. So, sloka number 26. Shri Bhagavan uvacha atha chainam nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam tatapi tvam mahabaho naivam shochitum arhasi. Atha chainam nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam tatapi tvam mahabaho naivam shochitum arhasi. Say, as I said, Bhagavan's intention is to let Arjuna know that whatever be the cause of this sorrow, it is wrong. He need not feel sorrow. He need not feel the grief. He need not feel sad. So when someone comes to us saying that they are sad, we cannot tell them directly that you need not feel sad unless you are able to give them a valid reason. You cannot just say, hey, there's nothing, you don't need to feel sorry about that. Doesn't matter. You shouldn't feel sorry about it. Leave it. If you say that, they will become even more sad that you are not able to understand them also. Or nor can we tell them, you are imagining things or something like that. You will have to listen to them out first, which Bhagavan has already done, and then you will have to logically say, okay, are you feeling sad for this? Are you really feeling sad for this? Is this the cause for your sorrow? Then you make them understand whether it is actually a valid reason for them to feel sorrowful. And you will have to ensure that all the possible causes of sorrow are properly eliminated. So Bhagavan here has said in the first said Atma is nityaha, Atma sarvagataha. So Atma, you don't need to feel sorry from Atma standpoint. Now Bhagavan says, Arjuna, you might come back and say you're not feeling sad for the Atma. And Bhagavan is giving a hypothetical argument here. He says, suppose Arjuna, you do not accept this Vedantic teaching. Remember, Vedantic teaching is never about imposing at all. We don't impose at all to anybody. It is clean sharing of whatever the teacher knows. It is taught or shared with the student. The student has to be convinced and the student must accept it. There is no question of this is how it is and therefore you accept it. It's all about trying to logically explain and allow the student to make his own conclusion, valid conclusions and valid arguments, bring back, debate or question, get the doubts clarified, get the conviction of the knowledge. That is the system that we follow in our culture. So Bhagavan says, so Arjuna, you may not be able to accept this Atma. You may even, he's not saying it, we are just assuming it. He says you may even conclude that there is no such thing called all-pervading Atma. Because nobody has seen this Atma. And nobody can perceive this Atma also, aprameyaha. Therefore, you may not be willing to accept that. There is also a philosophy within our tradition that is called as Charvaka philosophy. Charvaka philosophy is like modern science. The Charvaka philosophy is materialistic philosophy. It does not even accept a concept of mind. Because it asks for proof for everything. It will say, where is the proof that mind exists? Charvaka philosophy does not accept intellect also. So it does not accept Atma also. And for Charvaka philosophy, the physical body alone is Atma. Atma means what? The self. When I say, it is the physical body. Other than that, there is nothing. The physical body is what you see, is what you get. There is no Sukshma Sharira which is different from the Stula Sharira, and there is no Karna Sharira which is different from Stula Sukshma Sharira. Nothing of that sort. And for them, there is no surviving after the death of the body. Death of the body, the person goes. That's why some people say, you have only one life, they say. Actually, there cannot be a farther thing from truth. You don't have only one life. First of all, you don't have any death also. Only the body dies. There is no death for you because you are immortal. Anyway. And for the Charvaka philosophy, there is nothing called heaven or hell, papa or punya. There is no travel after death. There is no Pitruloka. There is no other lokas. There is no karma. There is no shraddham. There is no need. There is no previous janma. There is no future janma. Nothing. For them, I am the body. What type of body? A temporary body. And the body comes with the consciousness principle, as in the body itself is conscious. That's how they believe. So there are many other systems of philosophy which does not accept our Vedanta within the Hindu culture itself. There are certain philosophies which accept Atma within the body, like a branch of Buddhism. They accept that there is an Atma other than the body. But that philosophy, the Atma is constantly changing for them. The Atma is subject to death and birth. So, different philosophies have different understanding or different conclusions about this body and Atma. And therefore, for them, there is a perishable consciousness, which means Atma is born and Atma dies. Now, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, suppose you believe in the Atma which is perishable, which means it is subject to birth and death. Suppose you believe in it, and that's how he starts the shloka. And what he says in the shloka, we will see in the next class. Any questions or comments? He says basically, Ata chainam nitya jatam. If you believe the Atma to be born again and is subject to birth and death, we will see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamujjate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.